So welcome everyone. I am John Paul Hernandez, your Employer Relations Specialist here at CSUSB Career Center. And I want to welcome you to the beginning of our first annual 2021 Math and Stats Career Summit and Virtual Career Fair. And this is day one of our alumni and employer virtual panel. So welcome everyone. We have some great guests here today. Fellow alumni, and our special guest at the end of this will be Steve Caffe, and he is our West Coast recruiter for the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, who will be giving some insight into recruiting and careers that are especially for math and stat majors and of interest to you. So with that, I'll go ahead and introduce our panel. I'll start off with Stacy Cox, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Yeah, hi there, I'm Stacy. I graduated CSUSB in 2020 with my bachelor's in math, and I'm actually a current master's student in math here, expected graduation this coming spring. And I'm here to talk about my internship I did over the summer with the Department of Defense.
Welcome.
Okay, my name is T. Wynn. I'm an alumni, graduated the first time in 2011, the second time in 2014, both with math degrees, second one with master's. I'm a former operations research analyst at the Department of the Treasury, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Wonderful, welcome T.
Greetings, my name is Charles Kinsell. Major computer engineering. I graduated 2019. I currently work as an engineer for a defense firm called Infinity Labs.
Awesome, welcome Charles. And I believe we have Danielle, are you on?
Also, yes, I'm here.
Hey Danielle, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Danielle Gannier. I graduated from CSUSB June 2020, and I currently work as a consumer affairs analyst for Kia Corporation.
Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And Jeff, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. So I'm Jeff Meyer, associate professor in the math department here. I know a lot of people who are here. So, maybe I'll be, helping or asking some additional questions of the panel. And also I do have a sign-in sheet. I know a lot of students here, maybe their instructors encourage them to attend, and we'll post that sign-in sheet into the chat. So make sure you fill that out.
Wonderful. So yeah, go ahead and check that out in the chat there. There's a link for everyone. And then helping us out here behind the scenes, your event coordinator, Jackie Aguayo, she's here helping us out, waving, hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, John.
Awesome. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to throw out the first question. What experiences as an undergraduate did you find most valuable for finding your current job or your internship opportunity?
I'll take this away, I suppose. For me, one of the something huge that benefited me not only in school were the internships I did during the summer. Like Stacy, I think she said she did a DoD internship. I also did a DoD internship. And if you go to NSF, as in National Science Foundation, REU, research experience for undergraduates, they have for every major you can imagine they have there. So I took advantage of those on both summers. Every job interview that I had, they asked about those. They look really interesting. They usually have cool names. And so that was something big that not only gave me what it was going to be like once I got out there, but yeah, Dr. Pantula says they have a wonderful math REU. So yeah, definitely huge. It was a game changer for me, not only in finding a job, but giving me experience. A lot of companies see that as actual experience. It's 10 weeks long. They pay usually $5,000 or more, and they're fantastic.
That's great. Thank you, Charles.
What
Just to
helped
follow up
me?
with that one.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, you first.
What helped me find my internship of the summer was actually going to a conference called the Joint Mathematics Meeting, which I was actually fully funded to go through through LSAM, which is a STEM scholarship program, which the majority of students are able to join and get the full benefits from there. So that's how I was able to find different employers and different opportunities out there.
That's great. Thank you, Stacy. And T?
My valuable undergrad advice was just, or experience rather, was going to speak with professors in their offices to just sort of broaden my horizons on what sort of career opportunities were available with a math degree, not just education or doing data related things, but certainly the gamut of other research opportunities available with that.
Wonderful. Did T, a little follow-up on that, did anything specific prepare you for that internship? I know we
I
talked
actually didn't
about
do any internships.
what's that?
I didn't do any internships.
Oh, what about the job opportunity?
It was, I think a lot of it was interfacing with professors and just developing people skills with them and other students to be able to work with them on a variety of problems that we face. And also it's more the critical thinking component of the math degree that I found to be the most valuable, because very rarely in the actual job do we actually use any sort of math. Like, we don't use any of the formulas really, or the theorems that we are currently learning. It's just, given pieces of information, can you come up with some sort of reasonable solution? And just the critical thinking that we develop with math skills helps a lot in that department. So I think that was probably the most valuable thing.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. Thank you. How about you, Danielle?
I would say attending a lot of the colloquiums, that was really helpful, just because, and also being a part of math club. Doing things and being a part of clubs while you're still an undergrad is basically kind of like helps you network while you're still learning, and it's also like a wonderful support system while you are gaining your degree, and you use those type of skills that you kind of gain communicating with others, and kind of like coming together to critical think together. Those are things that you do a lot when you are out in the field in real life. And I would say that those, being a part of clubs and going to colloquiums and hearing everyone else's also like seeing research and stuff like that, kind of like kept me like in the game and wanting to know more, wanting to do more, and also helped me gain a lot of community.
Great, thank you, Danielle. Does anyone else in the panel have anything to add as far as maybe preparing you for that opportunity, whether it's job or internship? What it sounds like I'm hearing is just speaking to people, having that conversation to actually be able to have that portion, and then obviously the education, combining those in the real world, being able to actually communicate effectively and not so heavily on, maybe like you said, formulas that you were learning that were really valuable.
Yeah, I'll touch on something else that me and Dr. Meyer and I were talking briefly about, and that was something that really prepared me is so I'm a little older. I just graduated when I was 39. So I was a construction worker for 20 years when I decided to go back to school. And when I went back to school, I wasn't going for my degree. I was going because I was hungry to learn. And so that's what I was doing when I was in school. I was not in a rush to get, I know some of my peers are like trying to get their degree as fast as possible. They're taking class a full load in the summer when I was taking internships, and I was there just to learn. And I think that helped me so much, because when I got to those REUs or even my job now, all that information that I learned to love and learn just to learn, it's still there because I wasn't just trying to pass the class as fast as possible. So that was something that was huge for me.
Yeah, really just slowing down, and really taking it in, not just trying to fly by and then, you don't actually retain anything. I was really excited to hear about those RUs. I included the link there for everyone in the chat. If anyone wants to look, further into that, there is a link there for you. So thanks for that, Charles. Okay, so I'll throw another subject out there. What is one piece of advice you wish you had known when you were an undergraduate, but no one ever told you?
I don't have an advice that wasn't told to me. It's just I wasn't listening. So during my undergrad, I thought I just wouldn't get into any of the programs that are like during the summer or like internships or RUs. I just never applied for them because I didn't think highly of myself. But I should have listened to like the professors around me, like apply to them because you are going to get into them because they need people, and we are smart people at the school and we deserve to go to them. It wasn't until my master's that I decided, like, I don't know, a month in, that I was like, I'm going to apply to this on like just for fun, like to see if I'd get it. And then it turns out I got it. And I just should have listened to them long before that. And that's something I wish I'd listened to.
Great way to explain that, Stacy. In order for it to happen, you kind of have to jump in, start applying, and sometimes if we're not listening, we might take a little longer to actually act, and then before you know it, you're graduating. So the earlier the better, that's for sure. And yes, CSUSB students are smart, talented, and deserving. Totally agree. What was that, Stacy?
I think I might have a bit.
For Danielle?
It was Danielle.
I would say that, sorry, my brain is kind of like, I'm a little nervous. I would say that something that's extremely useful is to learn how to self-study. While we're at school, we tend to get kind of caught up in a lot of the like homework that we get sent with, and we pretty much put like a lot of effort and a lot of focus into getting the work done. When in the real world, a lot of effort comes into what you do in your downtime, what you choose to do, what you choose to study, what you choose to read. It makes a difference. Like I may, work full time right now, but like on my downtime, I still take the time to, brush up on my coding and start to make websites and basically keep building my repertoire on the side. So as my career, keeps going, I keep growing.
We're getting some thumbs up on that there. I clap from Jackie. That's great. Does anyone else want to add anything to that? So I'm going to go ahead and mix in a little bit of an employer-related type question to our panel here. If you were speaking to an employer now, advice, I don't even want to use the word advice, but just examples of what drew you to the opportunity, whether it's a job or internship, that employers should know when they're presenting these to students. So to start it off, I'm going to kind of throw this to Charles. You had a great one about the "Do you love math?" ad. If you can kind of tell us that story.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'll say that I was applying for jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed, and Handshake, and I actually got a job offer, at least one from each one of those. Of course, I chose. All right, my son's giving me sign language. So yeah, one of them that I saw on Indeed, it said, "Do you love math?" And that is the job. That's where I work now, Infinity Labs. And so that was a really cool job posting that caught my eye, especially after applying for as many jobs as I did. I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, and so I don't know. Hopefully, I noticed I got some advice early on that there's a lot of jobs out there that might say minimum degree required, master's degree. And I was told that, you don't really look at that and you can still apply for those jobs, even if you have a bachelor's degree. And I found that to be true also. So I don't know where I was going with that. Yes, I did apply for a job that posted I love math. It was fun. It was light, but it's a very serious job. It's very difficult and rewarding. Yes.
I think you had a really good point. You touched on a good point there about even though there were some qualifications that you could have looked at easily and said, "Oh, I don't qualify for that." You still applied. There are many times employers will just put so many qualifications that and then they come to us and say, "There's no one applying to these," and there's just so many restrictions. When we open those conversations about it, a little deeper dive, they say, "You know what? We don't need actually that. It's just more of a wish list, and we'll kind of help them build out that." So I think that's a great piece of advice to employers is, maybe you structured your must-have qualifications versus your wish list. And then on the other hand, as a student, don't be afraid of applying to some of those that, they may still look at your resume. So good point. Anyone else? What drew you to applying to your first opportunity?
Related to that, real quick, it's I personally would not apply to a job that said, "Do you love math?" Because to me, that's just too corny, and it's just different messaging works for different folks. I personally prefer just, this is the job, this is what we do, this is the pay, and are you interested? And that's about it. Like I don't really need much more than that.
So and that's a great point too, because an employer, you probably want to word your job description based on your culture, right? So maybe that "do you love math" job description, they're looking for they want to have maybe a lighter culture, and then another place may just "Hey, we need you to come in and do these things." So that is very true. And as someone applying, you do want to gravitate towards something that fits your personality and your expectations. So yeah, that's a great point. Anyone else? Stacy, Danielle, what excited you about your first opportunities and applications?
So what kind of made me apply for the first one is that I would be able to see something besides school, because all I did before going to the DoD was just schoolwork. Like I did problems after class, I read the book, I did what was required for the class, and just getting a refreshing, different perspective of how math is used in the world is, I think, just cool in general. Just seeing what you did in school, how you can actually use it. I took Fourier analysis. I never thought I would use that in real life, and turns out I used it over the summer. It was, I don't know. But the job opportunity I got, the listing's very ambiguous. So it just I believe it stated "Oh, we're gonna work on a really high level math problem." Cool, that sounds great. And I applied, but that was just for certain things are very ambiguous like that.
Tools that you use to apply. Did you look at social media? Were there certain websites you use? LinkedIn, Handshake here on campus. What did you use to find these opportunities?
I wrote my resume using LaTeX, which is something the math department should be pretty familiar with. And I knew from for a while after I decided not to go into teaching that I wanted to work for something public service related. And you can find basically all of the government jobs, the federal government jobs, on usajobs.gov. I'm sorry, I can't provide a link at the moment. I'm on my phone. But that is certainly probably the most direct way to get a job at the government. It also has a lot of internship things there as well, not just straight career jobs, just pathway internships and other things as well.
Oh, that's great. We'll get that link put up there for you, T. Because that's definitely one everyone should check out. usajobs.gov. Anyone else? I know recently, a lot of employers are looking to communicate via social media to try to gain interest. I don't know, was that around when you were looking for your opportunities? Do you think that'd be valuable now?
I don't use social media, so I can't speak to this.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I would say, well, when I was applying for jobs, social media was out there. I mean, of course, I was in the middle of a pandemic, so it was hard to get around things that weren't COVID related. So what I did is I looked up, basically tried to find keywords myself by just kind of like looking at either maybe like using Reddit and seeing like kind of like where people went in their mathematics career. And I also, just used Google and saw like, read on different articles. I read like several different things just to try to get keywords that I could use when I'm searching. I actually used ZipRecruiter, I used Indeed, I used Handshake, I used several amounts of jobs job sites, just trying to find something. And I would say, like, if employers really want to try to find students, having those keywords, kind of like analyst or mention statistics, or math, just any of the keywords that may, if someone's like very stressed and they're just like, I'm just trying to look for a math job, and they put math job, maybe it should pop up.
No, that's a great point. Using keyword searches, because I'll tell you, on the employer relations side, job titles are sometimes just the worst. I mean, they don't describe anything of the job duty you're actually doing. So if you can do a wider search by, maybe some of the, whether it's a software you're using or, a very specific item, that's a good way to do a job search. Good point. So we have a question here from Jeff. From your experience, at what point in your degree do you think it is best to consider an internship?
I personally would at any level. And I wouldn't be intimidated by them. Well, I was first going in, but they understand that you're students. They understand that you're, when you apply for an internship, they look at your GPA, they look at what classes you've taken. So they know you're a student, they know where you're at. And in a lot of ways, those internships teach you a lot of things that school can't teach you. And so, I would say at any level. I wouldn't say, hey, I'm only a freshman, I'm not going to take one this summer because I don't have enough experience. You get that experience along the way. Both internships I did, I had no idea what I was doing at the beginning, but you work with a group and you learn and you talk, and it's just such a fun learning atmosphere.
Yeah, picking off of that, I'd say as soon as possible is probably the best choice. Just even if you don't have any experience, like Charles was saying, it's just your willingness to learn and do the thing goes a very long way. And that's probably a very valuable trait to the eyes of whoever's looking to hire or recruit for the RE or whatever the opportunity might be.
No, that's good to hear. A lot of our government agencies, what we hear is the earlier the better. Some internships can take over a year, the application process, in order for to get approved, and especially for clearances and things like that. So definitely something you don't want to wait till the end. And then for those that maybe did wait a little longer, there still is some opportunities even for graduate school, or even recent grads, like you just graduated, they'll take you in on an internship. So, still things to consider.
And also at these internships, they usually teach you what you need to know. So even if you read the job description, like, it's going to say stuff that you probably won't know, and they'll just teach you it. It's like given that they'll show you this. Like, I had no idea what I was doing over the summer until week 4 of my 12-week program. And we spent the first 3 weeks just having lectures and learning about what we're supposed to be doing. So don't be intimidated by the listings, because I think they're meant to be intimidated, in my opinion. But I would just still apply, even if you are scared or whatnot.
There's a question here that just came in, and I think it ties into kind of what you were saying, Stacy, as far as, did you feel prepared for your experience? And I think what your statement just said, it's okay even if you don't feel prepared, because if they're accepting you in, they're going to show you. that's the whole part of really an internship, is to learn as you're going along. So did everyone feel prepared, or was there a sense of like, I don't know what I'm doing? Is that kind of the general feeling?
I think having imposter syndrome is to be expected. You just don't know, you don't feel prepared ever. But one of the people I used to work with at the Department of Treasury, he said, because he also had a master's degree as an undergrad, he said that it's the best degree because it prepares you for everything and nothing at the same time. It's like, that's very true. You don't know the things that they're presenting you right away, but you certainly have the critical thinking skills to sort of dissect the thing that's going on and, do okay with it.
And also I'll mention that even though I did the two internships I did were completely different. So even though I did the first one, I wasn't prepared for the second one. In the first one, we were asked to come up with an engineering solution, something novel, which I eventually published a paper on. And the second one, I was put on projects that had already been going for 2 years. So they were completely different. The experience was completely different. Mine is I've not done any. So yeah. I think Dr. Pantula asked a question before that one that we missed.
Let's see here.
And
Is
the
it the one
computing courses?
Yeah, computing courses. Did anyone take any computing courses? Did they find any specific courses helpful?
I really wish I took more. I know at the time when I was an undergrad, we called it Math 241. I don't know what it is now. We used Maple. And in some of my other classes, we used R, which I found to be extremely valuable because it's an open source statistical tool that you can just download and play with. It's pretty great. The computer science department has pretty good classes. Just knowing how to program at all is useful because just knowing the framework of those languages lets you learn other languages fairly well.
Great. And then I noticed too, there's some additional resources that were just added to the chat too. If everyone scrolls up, you'll see some other sites to check out.
I have also a question. There was a private message, but I can ask. So the question is, could I ask, so this is the questioner, could I ask what motivated you guys to pursue a career in math in the first place? So maybe what motivated specifically a career in industry as opposed to maybe pursuing a teaching degree or going into some academia kind of position?
I think for me, what drove me to go do industry after graduation is, I think, getting the experience out there. And then what drove me to apply there was just for the hell of it, practically, and to get something other than what I've seen every day. Because my original plan was to get a PhD and go do research and teach at a university. But just getting something other than what I see every day is just so valuable, and that there's just more out there than what we see at campus right now. I think just getting out of making a left turn is just so nice and refreshing. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time at the library writing my master's thesis, watching The West Wing, and so I was really driven to do public service.
I flipped a coin. Because I applied to graduate school and I got accepted, but during that whole process, I was applying for jobs. I'm like, what do I want to do? I love, I was an SI for 4 years, so I like teaching, and eventually I just when I went to my interview and they told me about the stuff that they did, I was enamored, and so I went with industry.
I actually went to CSUSB to be a teacher, to be a mathematics teacher, and I got into a program that exists at CSUSB that is basically, it's kind of like an internship program where you actually get to teach inside of a classroom with a teacher who is teaching currently. And that's where I learned that I didn't want to be a teacher. And from that point on, it pretty much was my goal to go into industry. And I took, several independent studies with Jeff that pretty much just blew my mind and opened my eyes and made me want to chase it even harder.
I was muted here. Okay, great.